Jennifer.
And I'm Anna.
And today we're going to do another film psycho analysis for this episode's of Inframe. But before we do talk about our film and the film psychoanalysis, we'd just like to say that we're not professionals or experts. So definitely take what we say with like a little grain of salt. You know, we're just enthusiasts who likes to do research on our free time. The film that we chose is a lot less serious and a lot less intense than a lot of the other team members. We chose Inside Out.
My favorite.
Yes, it's actually one of my favorite because it's such a great movie, and honestly, it's one of my favorite Pixar movies that truly explains a lot about like how the brain works in such a creative way. All right, Anna, tell us about what the film is and what it's about.
Okay, so Inside Out follows Riley, a preteen who is uprooted from her life in Minnesota as she moves with her family to San Francisco for her dad's job. The film is centered on the perspective of 5 emotions: joy, disgust, sadness, fear, and anger, who work together to achieve balance over the control of Riley's thoughts and actions. When joy and sadness are unexpectedly ejected from main headquarters, we watch as they journey through numerous mental regions, such as imagination land, dream production, and abstract thought, and even a jail for Riley's greatest fears as they navigate their way back to the control room. Conflict soon arises between joy and sadness, as joy struggles to keep sadness at bay until she realizes that sadness is essential for maintaining balance in Riley, as well as her overall happiness, even more than always being happy. The film has been praised for being remarkably scientifically sound. However, it's also important to keep in mind that Inside Out should not be used as an academic reference, and directors did use their right for creativity.
Yeah, so as mentioned in the beginning, there are a lot of topics and life lessons that we can actually tackle from this movie. But specifically for this video, we'll just be talking about these 3 topics that we found most interesting. So the first one is emotional intelligence, role of REM sleep and memory consolidation, as well as personality and memory. So we'll start off with emotional intelligence. It's okay to be sad, which I thought was like the main moral of the story, really.
Yeah, it's the most like central theme to the whole film.
Yeah,
so the film bases its depiction of emotion according to the emotional theory of leading emotional psychologist Paul Ekman. And Ekman states that there are 7 basic emotions which have universal facial signals. These emotions are depicted in the film, plus contempt and surprise, which were omitted. This model is the most dominant theory within emotional psychology to date. Historically, emotion and reason have been portrayed to be at odds with one another, and an emotional person has been seen as weak or destructive, whereas someone who was able to shove aside their emotions and follow reason was seen as strong and inspiring. This sentiment is still prevalent in today's culture and is also why learning about mental health is so important.
Yeah, so Inside Out, like it embraces a more contemporary perspective of emotion. And, you know, audience are reminded about like the importance of considering emotional intelligence, you know, which is defined as the capacity to be aware of, control, and express one's emotion as opposed to ignoring them. So the film depicted Riley's personality and memories as being significantly shaped by her emotional experience, and her emotions were the main driving force behind her choices. Yeah, so throughout the film, we become witnesses to Riley's drastic emotional transformation, where she moves from Minnesota to San Francisco, and you know, that's such a huge life change. And she seemed to become a more depressed character. And we can actually attribute this to like the change that she experienced, you know, being away from her friends, her old school, like, you know, trying to fit into like this foreign place she didn't feel like she belonged to. You know, these changes are more explicitly shown to be instigated by sadness, who, despite Joy's attempts to contain her, contaminates Riley's previously happy memories. Now, during this time, Riley is constantly being told by her parents to maintain like her cheerful effect and be their little happy girl. And Joy also takes this approach in her attempts to like gain control over headquarters and subsequently tries to suppress sadness as much as possible by forbidding her from touching, the control panel and actually making her stand in like this circle that she chalked up. Um, but Riley's attempt to please her parents and Joy's efforts to keep Riley from feeling, sadness ultimately manifest in greater distress. Riley is rendered to have no control over her emotions, and she soon finds herself bursting into tears or experiencing moments of anger. Clarity is reached when Joy suddenly realizes the importance of sadness' role in ensuring Riley's maintains a healthy emotional well-being. Sadness is then allowed to be felt and explored by Riley. Now, the aftermath, Riley finds peace and her relationships deepen, and a more balanced emotional well-being is achieved as signaled by like the expanding control panel. I think if you saw like towards the end of the movie, like Riley's control panel become a lot bigger.
Yeah.
I think like it was interesting because if we see like the control panels in her parents' mind, it was already that big. So it was kind of stating that as you grow up, you will, keep expanding that panel.
Yeah, you'll become more emotionally mature.
Yeah.
So we do witness Riley's journey of self-discovery as we, like, alongside her, realize the importance of allowing ourselves to accept that it's okay to feel sad sometimes, and forcing ourselves to always be happy isn't always what's best for us. This notion has been reflected in like numerous psychological studies, which have concluded that healthy and mental and physical well-being is best maintained by balancing our emotions of both positive and negative emotions. For example, a 2014 study conducted by Koibak and colleagues found across like 37,000 participants that emodiversity is positively associated with good mental health and physical health. Koibak explains that emotions such as anger, shame, and sadness allow us to adapt to challenging and novel situations more effectively. It was also revealed that being in tune with such emotions is an indicator of self-awareness and authenticity, which are also linked to positive health and well-being. We can see this taking place in Riley's own situation as her emotions all work together and play a role in helping her decide not to run away from home in a moment of distress. Furthermore, a study by Mouse and Company revealed participants who were induced to feel happiness by reading an article reported to be less happy compared to the control group who watched a film clip. This can explain why Joy's attempts to keep sadness in her like tight circle of sadness ultimately backfired and rendered Riley not only miserable but unable to cope with the stress and significant life changes. So moving on, we'll now be talking about the role of sleep and why this is important for memory consolidation. We did see this theme play throughout the film, especially in the representation of memories as discrete moments that were stored throughout the day, and they were characterized by the particular emotion felt at the time. They were colored to indicate like what emotion was driving the memory, so that we could see the golden orb was signaling that the memory was happy, or a blue orb was signaling that the memory was sad. So let's talk about a bit what memory is exactly. The term memory broadly encompasses a number of different abilities, such as working memory, which is short-term memory, and episodic memory, which is remembering episodes of one's life, such as your first day of school, and semantic memory, which is the general knowledge about the world around you. There are 3 stages in memory formation: encoding, consolidation, which is storage and maintenance, and retrieval, which is when memories are recalled. Failures at any stage can result in forgetting or the creation of false memories. The topic of memory is super fascinating and deserves to be talked about in so much more depth. But for now, we are going to focus on the role of sleep in memory consolidation. In the film, Riley's dreams are produced by Dream Productions. Here we can see the dream producers drawing inspiration from Riley's memories throughout the day, and they consider this when they're writing their script. It seems Riley is processing events that she has encountered throughout the day, often taking spooky, nightmarish forms in her dreams. We can see her new home appears as a haunted house in her dreams, and she's greeted by the dead mouse that she sees when she walks in her new house. This is what we call memory consolidation, and it's defined as a time-dependent process by which recent learned experiences are transformed into long-term memory, presumably by the strengthening of synaptic connections between neurons. Studies have suggested that sleep plays a crucial role in this process due to the fact that there's minimal sensory and external stimuli to distract us away from the process. So why is memory consolidation so important? It's because if this process did not take place, we would find it very difficult to adapt and respond better to situations we have encountered in the past. We can hypothesize Riley was reliving everything about her day in such a nightmarish way due to the strong emotion she was feeling at the time. Particularly fear and stress. Fear and stress are said to create significant effect on long-term memory storage due to the strong connections between the amygdala, which is the brain survival instincts, and the fear center, and the hippocampus. It remains unclear exactly how the process of memory consolidation happens. However, studies do suggest that a correlation between rapid eye movement, known as REM sleep, a period of deep sleep characterized by rapid eye movements, and memory retention.
Yeah, so I thought that was such an interesting way how they kind of portrayed how our dreams are made, because like it was so funny how like got chased by a rat, or that whole camera crew recording like
Yeah.
her in the classroom and everything. It was just hilarious. So I thought
So
they did
funny.
really, yeah. So yeah, but for me, I actually was interested in like the islands of personality and memory. So, still staying in the topic of memory, another important theme in the movie is how memory shapes personality and vice versa, how personality affect memory and emotions. So, in the movie, there were like these islands of personalities, which are location inside Riley's mind. They're a representation of the different aspects of Riley's personality that defines her as a person. So these islands are powered by like a core memory, a memory of greater importance, and it was stored in headquarters, HQ. So before she turned 11, Riley formed 5 islands of for personality, which was like family, honesty, hockey, friendship, and goofball island. And each core memory represents a defining moment in her life and was connected to one or more of her personality islands. So, for example, like the hockey island was powered by her memory of her first hockey goal, and her honesty island was when she broke a plate, she confessed to her dad or something like that. But following her family's move to San Francisco, Riley slowly lost all her core memories in this like traumatic incident, or like this huge change, or like this emotional change. So in the following 2 days, all the islands crumbled one by one as they couldn't function when summoned without their core memory. So I think this is actually a pretty good representation of, when we are in such a distressing state, when we're stressed, we experience such huge change, you get to lose yourself when you're in such a stressful situation. You forget like what's important to you. um but eventually, like throughout Joy's and Sadness journey and throughout Riley's journey, eventually new core memories were created, and the 5 original islands were restored. Some of them, like family and friendship, were even expanded, and several new islands of personality were created, which were like, I think she had like a, I don't know, like a rock or something. No, like a boyfriend. I don't know. It was pretty. Yeah, it was. It was a lot of islands. It was like, yeah. But yeah, again, going back, it demonstrates how emotions associated with major events in our lives shape our personality. And when personality islands transforms and multiply, just like how our personality can change throughout life depending on what we experience. Um, so at the end of the movie, not all core memories were yellow, like not just joy or happy. It's a combination of many. I think it really reflects reality because when we are younger, a lot of our major memories are mostly happiness. It's like me getting this candy or mom getting me a new toy. Although when we get older, those core memories become more complex and features a variety of emotions. So maybe for a good example, just like out of the top of my head, maybe like a breakup with that could that could be like a sadness, but then it would be sort of joy when you experience self-love. And now I'm just ranting about my own life, but anyway. But is it true that memories shape our personality? So yes, emotions infused into significant memories can impact our individual experience of the world and can influence personality traits. Basically, your experiences will shape who you are. So I thought that was one of the most interesting one, those islands of personalities and how it kind of expand and changed and all those things. But I thought that's one of the most interesting um, parts of the movie for me. Um, so yeah, how accurate, through like that emotional, through like what we discussed, those top three, the role of sleep, memory and personality, as well as emotional intelligence. Like, how accurate was the movie in depicting how the brain works?
But I thought the film was accurate in like the way it depicts like scientific, like the way the brain works and scientific facts in like such a fun way that children are easily able to understand what's going on. Um, there are a lot of life lessons like given in this film, and it's really refreshing to see how like the perspective on mental health and emotions are being transformed. And I love how the film is essentially teaching you from a young age that it's okay that to expect moments where we would be sad, and it's okay to feel sadness in these moments.
Yeah, and I'm sure we've all been able to like relate to Riley. And I think it's not even adults can watch it and actually take away a lot of the moral of the story from like Inside Out. Yeah, so if you are the, only person in the world who haven't watched it, go catch it. Go catch Inside Out. We definitely do love it. It's one of our favorite Pixar movies. So yeah, I think that's all for this episodes of In Frame, where we analyze films. Let us know in the comments down below what you found most interesting, from this analysis or maybe from Inside Out, because we know we didn't touch all the topics or uh, things we could have from the movie. So yeah, let us know down below. Don't forget to click subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye!
Bye.